Powering inclusive growth roll-off platforms. Organized by DPIIT, Zomato, Blinkit.
Aiming to center stage Indian gig economy's well-being and inclusion, Eternal Companies, Zomato and Blinkit hosted the third edition of Powering Inclusive Growth Roll-Off Platforms Conference in collaboration with Startup India, DPIIT. The Honorable Minister of Labour and Employment and Youth Affairs and Sports, Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, graced the conference as the chief guest.
दोस्तों, इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ की जब बात होती है तब हमें महिला का भी विचार करना है, हमें डिसेबल लोगों का भी विचार करना है, हमें वर्कर्स को सम्मान देना है। वहां से विषय चालू होता है। सम्मान और सम्मान हम कैसे बनाए रखें? उसको अच्छा वेतन मिले, लीगल व्यवस्था आप खड़ी करें, ये तो ठीक है, सरकार करती है, लेकिन केवल लीगल व्यवस्था खड़ी करने से काम नहीं होगा। माइंडसेट बदलना पड़ेगा। देश के नागरिक का माइंडसेट बदलेगा तब जाके उसको सम्मान मिलेगा। हमें हमारे वर्कर्स को सम्मान देना है, हमें हमारा वर्कर्स को रिस्पेक्ट देना है, अच्छा जीवन यापन कर पा रहा है, हमें देखना होगा। नॉट ओनली फॉर प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स के लिए मैं बात करता हूँ, ये सभी जगह पे लागू होता है। दोस्तों, प्लेटफॉर्म इकोनॉमी जनरेट करने वाले, यानी कि प्लेटफॉर्म चलाने वाले लोग, बिजनेस करने वाले लोग, और उसके यहाँ उसके पार्टनर के रूप में अच्छा नाम दिया, वो भी मुझे अच्छा लगता है कि हमारे बिजनेस पार्टनर, अच्छी बात है। यही ऐसा ही शब्द प्रयोग लाना पड़ेगा, उसमें से ही समानता आएगी। हमें करना होगा दोस्तों, और हमारी सरकार का यही एम है। हम ना किसी के खिलाफ है, ना किसी के सामने हैं। हम इंडस्ट्रीज को भी आगे बढ़ाना चाहते हैं, लेकिन वर्कर्स की सोशल सिक्योरिटी को भी एश्योर करना चाहते हैं। ये दोनों को संतुलित बैलेंस के साथ हमें आगे बढ़ना होगा। कानून की तरह से हमने 4 लेबर कोड लाके कानूनी दर्जा तो दिया है, जिसमें दुनिया में पहला ये देश है जिन्होंने कानूनी तौर पर गिग वर्कर्स को रिकॉग्नाइज करा और उनकी सोशल सिक्योरिटी एश्योर करने के लिए लीगल प्रावधान करें।
The guests of honor at the conference included Dr. Shamika Ravi, Member, Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, Manmeet Kaur Nanda, Additional Secretary, Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, and Randeep Singh Jakpal, Whole-Time Member Law, Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority, who also addressed the gathering.
In the last decade and a half, nothing short of a revolution has unfolded in this country on the back of making Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile available to everyone across the country. This scale of expansion of a digital core infrastructure is unprecedented, right? Which makes many things or many kinds of new economies, new business models possible in India. And what platforms are doing today, what the gig economy, in a paper that I had written about a decade back, has achieved for India and will continue to achieve, are basically plugging these major gaps in labor markets and value addition throughout. We cannot grow these new age sectors with the old traditional labor models. So talking of safety, talking of extending health insurance, pensions, extending financial inclusion lessons at large, financial literacy. As someone who has been teaching financial inclusion for now close to 30 years, I can tell you, if you have a successful model in financial literacy, we would like to see that. And to that effect, I'm glad that at Eternal, you are putting so much emphasis on disciplining and cash flow management and small savings.
I am struck by something more in the background material. by Zomato's own platform data statistics. Person with disabilities explicitly stands out as a diverse category of workers present on the platform. And I'm very, very, very happy to note that they have crossed this number by about 3,700. And this is along with students, single mothers, women who are between jobs, repaying loans, and so economically empowered by this move by this individual company. And it does make intuitive sense, the gig work, as this conference background note defined. It's flexible, it's task-based, it's outside traditional employee-employer framework with the freedom to choose hours like we saw. So a person managing a chronic condition, maybe a mobility limitation, a hearing impairment, low vision, these features are not merely convenient. They can be the difference between economic participation and lifelong exclusion. I want to acknowledge directly and very genuinely what Eternal, Zomato, and Blinkit have shown us and have built as for their delivery partners. And I think this is a very laudable and commendable work that they have taken. It is serious and is very substantive work that they have done. And I think it creates this foundation upon which PWD-specific inclusion can build.
Despite the rapid expansion of the gig and platform economy, a large proportion of these workers continue to operate outside the ambit of the formal social security systems. At PFRDA, our mandate is to ensure old age income security for all citizens, irrespective of how or where they work. The changing nature of employment requires pension systems that are flexible, portable, and inclusive. Keeping this objective in mind, PFRDA introduced the NPS e-Shramik model, which is a dedicated framework designed specifically for gig and platform workers. This model enables seamless digital and paperless onboarding through platform aggregators. It allows voluntary and flexible contributions by workers where feasible and by platforms as well. Importantly, NPS e-Shramik ensures complete portability so that the pension accounts remain with the workers even as they move from one platform to another or across occupations or geographies. The result of these efforts has resulted in about 85,000 platform workers from organizations such as Zomato and Blinkit have already been enrolled under NPS.
The CEO of Zomato, Aditya Mangla, also presented his views.
With the learnings and takeaways of the previous two editions, this conference is focused on inclusion, health and safety, financial empowerment, and social protections for gig and platform workers. Platforms are not just about technology. They generate huge numbers in terms of earning opportunities. The task-based and flexible nature of gig work and its ease of entry has led to its popularity among individuals who view it as a source of supplemental, stopgap, and respectable earnings. An example of this is that our platforms, since inception, have generated earning opportunities for about 61 lakh delivery partners. We believe that advancing delivery partner well-being is a must. It is not an if.
One of the highlights of the conference was the release of a white paper on enhancing women's participations in urban last-mile logistics. This was followed by a panel discussion titled Advancing Diversity, Safety and Inclusion in Platform Work, which explored how elements like strengthened safety measures, improved urban mobility conditions, expanding skilling opportunities, and tech-enabled safeguards will help further inclusion and well-being of platform workers.
When we look at platform economy and having seen platform economy closely for the last 7 years as India Tech, one of the things that very critically comes forth is the fact that the consumer and 99% of the population, I would say, still looks at platform economy as delivery. There is a much larger economic ecosystem which is getting triggered because of this. The urban reset and the urban operating system has created this infra. There are enough multiple balloons which are operating on top of this infra, which are triggering livelihoods, self-employment. Women are getting more time to now put and deploy on other things. Access to material, access to things is the last kind of thing in their heads. And more importantly, people are now able to redeploy that time to other more productive work. Now, in terms of whether it is a small business, a cloud kitchen, or any of the kind of businesses that we are talking about, for them, delivery has now become seamless.
Skilling is important, but I'm saying with full confidence that it's not difficult. It is very easy to solve. We have made a lot of other much more difficult skills imparted to this kind of participants. But enabling environment is something that I'll urge all of us to think about. And there are innovations, there are possibilities. I'll urge all of us to think around that.
We need to create a safer system for them by building better infrastructure, and infrastructure which is forgiving, which is what we call as 5 E's of safe system, which has engineering, which has enforcement, which has educated people, road users. Then we have emergency care. So one of the suggestions that comes to my mind is that these gig riders, they themselves, delivery riders are also part of the two-wheelers. They can be more, less vulnerable, more safer if they themselves become the first responders. Of course, in the morning it was shown that you have dedicated first responder program for them. Once you expose them to that program, they themselves become safer riders, So chaos on Indian roads are not going to go away overnight. So what I would recommend is that we build system by system, step by step, and then we'll see the change.
We believe that technology is a game changer when it comes to safety. When we talk about technology, there are two ways that technology enables safety on the platform, or in general, how technologies give certain advantages to the way that we operate. One is the fact that there are certain technologies that become available to us. There are certain technologies that get unlocked because the entire ecosystem evolves, because the entire technological landscape changes. There are certain other technologies that companies spend time and energy and effort and money to pilot and do R&D on, and then that becomes company proprietary tech and something that they're really good at.
Powering inclusive growth roll-off platforms. Organized by DPIIT, Zomato, Blinkit.
The second panel discussion, titled Increasing Access to Financial Inclusion and Social Security Benefits for Platform Workers, explored how tech-led solutions and simplified access can help deepen the reach of existing initiatives like access to insurance, pension instruments, and government welfare programs for delivery workers.
The first approach of engaging human resource in our country is the regular employer-employee relationship. The second approach is that of an independent service provider, which is what you would call a freelance worker or a consultant. A gig worker under the Code on Social Security is somebody who is outside the traditional employer-employee relationship. And a subset of a gig worker is a platform worker, who is essentially a gig worker engaged through a platform with an aggregator. So that gives you the element of the second model. But thereafter, the Indian government at that time, and I'm here talking about in 2019-20, when the code was officially passed by Parliament, they gave the benefits of social security to gig and platform workers under 5 heads. One is life and disability cover, then there's accidental insurance, then there's health and maternity benefit, then there's creche benefits, then there's old age protection. So this is the novel third approach that the Indian government has adopted, and that is what makes us unique at the world stage.
There are government schemes divided into cash transfers, health insurance, pensions. The government has NPS, APY, different schemes. Ayushman life insurance, accident insurance. And then there are multitude of government programs which are also eligible for gig workers because they also have homes back in rural areas. So they might want government programs for their families, for their parents. Everybody is a marginal landholder. So those are the kind of programs that are there. The labor codes that have come in, as Mike was also mentioning, in terms of the act had come in a decade ago, and now we have the simplification of the codes. I think we foresee that the interesting bit right now is who gets an e-shram. There is actually, you can get an e-shram while you are a sole proprietor, you can get an e-shram if you're a domestic worker, you can get an e-shram if you're a platform worker, or as defined, the largest gig workers actually are our domestic workers and drivers who are anyways working in the middle to upper middle income economy. But I think the unlocking of e-shram into government benefits is going to be very interesting. Theoretically, the architecture seems to be there, the work is happening, but I think streamlining that work and also how the federal structure works is going to be very interesting because the responsibility of scheme delivery is of the state. So Karnataka already has a social security code going on. You might have a case where other states may or may not pick up the benefit. So I think that's the next phase where I think platforms across will have to work together with the states to see how these government benefits are increasing. But just on that one last point, that we also have to acknowledge that as our economy is increasing, the total government amount that is getting spent is now close to 4 lakh crore on social security. We spend about 10% of our GDP. That percentage is going to increase, and in the 2047 vision, we are basically saying we are going to be a $30 trillion economy. Even at a conservative 10%, that means in the next 20 years, we will have a budget of $3 to $4 trillion on social security.
Now, when it comes to employer-employee relationships, it's a very, very small number of people where there's a formal employer-employee relationship. Thus far, before the platform worker model got launched earlier, in October 2025, your ability to buy into a product like NPS was determined by whether you were in an employer-employee relationship or not. That has changed, and that's what has led to some of the changes that you see in the last few months. Now, specifically to India, there are 3 structural problems, right? One is, and especially with the unorganized sector. So first is, there is volatility of employment, right? So there is, you may be in a job tomorrow and, there is no certainty that you will be in the same job, tomorrow or day after, right? The second is, because of the nature of income that is drawn at an early age, there is very little surplus that is there in the early part of one's, earning career, right? And that's something which significantly impacts long-term savings, because the longer you save in products such as pension, or for that matter any market-linked product, the larger is the corpus that you're able to build. The third issue, which is more structural, and that has got addressed to a very great extent by all the changes that have happened in the financial ecosystem, is trust and access, right? Now, because of the fact that we've had in the past numerous bad actors who have come in, and especially to this segment which is more vulnerable, there have been numerous instances of people getting cheated, and therefore there is this whole lack of trust, that plagues the financial services domain. But I think what's happened is that with the implementation of Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile, the JAM Trinity, and the whole CKYC framework now coming into existence, which, by the way, every regulated entity needs to now keep updating CKYC, which means that a large number of Indians today, who probably have an Aadhaar but don't have a CKYC number, their CKYC number, which is centralized Know Your Customer number, will be recorded, and therefore that can potentially become the single identifier for KYC, which is typically quoted as a problem, right, for onboarding people into formal products.
Thanks to the public infrastructure, the digital public infrastructure that has been there, what we realized is that we can provide both discovery and access. We can show customers, delivery partners, the options that they have, irrespective of whatever bank they're doing banking in, and tell them that there are another 5 banks that are providing you these options, right, from an interest rate standpoint, or a premature withdrawal standpoint, or a penalty standpoint. Now it's upon your choice to execute this without having to go out of your house. By staying on the app that you like, by staying on the app that you trust, in the branding of the app that you trust, but directly connected to the banks today, and you can book a deposit without even having to open a savings account with them. So let the savings account be where you have, but you can book a deposit in the bank of your choice, get the withdrawal back over here. So now those options have come out where banks have started, and this is what is called open banking, where we provide the bank on the app that the consumer or the delivery partner is, rather than let the delivery partner go to different banks or apps or branches. That's the monumental thing that's happening today.
The third edition of the conference hosted 2 platform worker well-being challenges, inviting startups to pitch innovations across 2 thematic sub-challenges with an aim to bring together all stakeholders as well as innovators to co-develop actionable pathways for strengthening India's platform workforce. Jago Motion won the Health and Safety Challenge with Sukoon as runner-up, while Pension Box won the Financial Inclusion and Upskilling Challenge with Fatak Pay as runner-up. Winners and runner-ups from each category were awarded 10 lakh and 5 lakh rupees respectively. The Powering Inclusive Growth Role of Platforms Conference concluded with an address by Eternal's Chief Sustainability Officer Anjali Ravikumar.
Building upon the meaningful conversations initiated over the last 2 editions, today we continue our discourse on the welfare of gig and platform workers, particularly in the domains of safety, inclusivity, social protection, and financial inclusion. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Startup India and DPIIT, who have co-created this conference with us. I want to thank you all for your kind attention.
Powering inclusive growth role of platforms. Organized by DPIIT, Zomato, Blinkit.